So what was the dream? It was unfolding. I didn't really know what it was. It just sort of came upon me. So I grew up. I grew up in horrible conditions. I was subject to all kinds of religious bizarreness and sexual bizarreness. Was sexualized at a very young age. And so sex and religion both were used as weapons to destroy me. I mean, typically religion rightly wielded is our highest good, and sex rightly wielded is our second highest good. But those two things were used, they were weaponized and used against me. And I knew nothing about God, nothing. I didn't know God existed, even though I was raised Catholic, catechized into the church, baptized, catechized, sacraments, all that. I knew nothing about religion, nothing about sex. Well, I knew about sex and I knew about religion, but only as it's wielded by dark, malevolent forces that seek to undermine and destroy a child's life through compromised adults. I knew about that. But basically I was flatlined. I was shut down. Um, but the Lord somehow, the Lord somehow put within me this dream, that this dream of love, romance, at a very young age, and so this it possessed me more than I didn't cling to it. It just possessed me. And so I was able through that to survive a childhood of incredible deprivation, to say the least. And then coming of age, uh, that drove me forward through my life. Now, religion, I came to know about God in my early teens because I read the Bible and gave my life. I mean, when I read about Jesus, I was like, I was changed, I was transformed because of the beauty of the gospel, the beauty of Christ. The Holy Spirit came upon me and entered me, and so I had the beginnings of what was true religion. And but see, all this other stuff that had been put in me, um, it was still in me, and somehow I came to believe that God was against my dream, that the dream was not from God, and that it was, in fact, God's rival, and that God disapproved of my dream, my need to find a lover, a beloved, a spouse, and that the dream was from the enemy. So it got flipped. It got flipped. And so I walked through my life clinging to the dream because it had such, it gave my life meaning, it gave my life purpose. And this horrible tug of war, just terrible, horrible tug of war, my whole life is essentially the struggle between these forces. And of course, because I had internalized this belief, it would destroy my my romance, self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. So okay, I'm just trying to work this out. It's difficult to explain it. It's not easy. Uh, so, right, so my relationships would collapse, and I would think that it's God who made the relationship collapse because he resented my dream. He didn't want me to have this dream, even though he was the one who gave it to me, but I didn't understand that at the time. And so I would cling to the dream, and I would distance myself from God, distance myself from Christ, because I was in conflict. And then the dream would get destroyed and broken down, and I would get so demoralized, and then I would cling to Christ, cling to God, beg him to forgive me, sort my life out, show him that I'm loyal and true. And then I would get another love interest, and I would immediately jettison God, jettison my faith, and cling to the dream, cling to the romance. And then, of course, the cycle would repeat because I didn't understand what was going on. It was a satanic deception. So that cycle's basically sums up my life. That's basically my life, that cycle. Until recently, through a woman I met recently who's now also abandoned our love affair. Actually, yesterday, I think. Yesterday. But this time, I haven't abandoned God. This time, through this love interest entering my life, I knew, I could see that the dream was actually from God. I suddenly could see the deception. And I could see that the deception was there both to thwart the dream, to undermine the dream, to undermine my love, my romance, and to undermine my relationship with God. I could see it. And so I suddenly realized, or it was shown to me, that this dream was God's dream. God put this dream in me. And when I realized that, when I could see that, I was set free from the dream. I was able to let it go and release it, give it back to God, so that, and I could see that the attack, the satanic attack that had been perpetrated against me all my life, I could see that what the darkness was doing, what Satan was doing, was attacking me through my love interest. He was compromising my woman, coming at me through my woman to refute my romance, to refute my poetry, my art, to stop that. And by doing that, causing me to hate God, causing me to resent God and hate God, because the premise was that God was the one who was doing it and not Satan. He was disguising himself as an angel of light. But I suddenly saw the play and saw that, yeah. So now my sweetheart at this time, probably the greatest light, the greatest revelation God has given me through a love interest, through this particular woman, when now she is retreating and letting go and, unable to believe in my vision, in the dream, unable to keep faith. I suddenly, it doesn't separate me from anything. And I can let the dream go. I'm not going to cling to it. No way. It's not my dream. It's God's dream. I'm free. I'm liberated from it. So ironically, I don't know if it's helping or if it's making sense, but the dream was a bridge over troubled waters, and I don't need it. I mean, I want it. Sure, I want it. I want to complete the mission. I want to give you guys access to my life and my struggle through sharing my relationships with you, but it's not necessary. Like, I'm basically on my own again. It's only me and the dream and God. That's it. No confidence in anyone who's significant around me. There's no confidence in my vision at all, that it can amount to anything that makes their love, our love, worth cherishing. It's still disposable. Satan is still attempting the same tactic to attack me through my woman, to demean and denigrate the dream through my woman. But the sting is gone. The power of it is gone, because I see the play. I see what's going on. And it's not my concern, because it's above my pay grade. I can't stop those sorts of attacks. I just know now that the objective is to prevent my dream from being fulfilled and given to you guys, given to the world, so that they can find hope in their own struggle and apply themselves to giving the West a robust faith, a return to a Renaissance styled cultural Christianity. That's what is right, because the church, the conservative Christian Protestant church is anemic. It's weak. It's anemic. It has no cultural significance at all. No cultural value whatsoever. It's just bare bones, stripped down, 4 spiritual laws, get them saved, get them in a church where relationships are without any cultural significant meaning. There's ignorance of anything except the bare bones minimum gospel. And then on the others end, you've got the liturgical churches, the Catholic Church mostly in the West, which has all the cultural significance of the past without any cultural relevance anymore, lacking everything except what it once was, devoid of the gospel, devoid of the Bible, devoid of anything except tradition and ritual that has been gutted of meaning. Basically, an infantilized, impotent church, regardless of which end of the spectrum you happen to fall on, so that people like me have nowhere to fellowship. There's nowhere you can go, because if you go into the conservative Protestant church, where at least the gospel, the truth of the scriptures is being promulgated, they look at someone like me like I'm of the devil's party. I'm too worldly. And then, but in the world, there's no escape there, because they look at me like I'm some antiquated throwback to Christian values that are no longer applicable or relevant. So that's why it's important and necessary for Satan to stop people like me, because we are basically taking culture back. We are asserting that Christ is all in all. Christ is culture. Christ is religion. Christ is culture. Christ-centered culture is Western culture. And we refuse to settle for anything less, regardless of what the church is promoting. It's obviously bankrupt. It's bankrupt assertions, and it's obviously bankrupt. You can tell by the way that it responded to what was rolled out in 2020. It complied. It fell over, it bloody well fell over, exposed itself, fell over a table and let itself get screwed up the ass by the state. So, but a culturally revived, robust West that is Christ-centered, that's what Satan fears. That's what Satan fears. And that's why it's so necessary, even though I'm nothing, even though I'm just the smallest of the smallest of small. There's no threat. You wouldn't think I'm a threat to anyone, but I am a threat, because any seed like the seed that I carry, if allowed access to the masses, would significantly, if there's enough of us, would significantly undermine what's afoot. So that's the dream. It's not mine. I give it up. I see that it's been thwarted again. My beautiful, beautiful, sweetest of sweet loves that I've ever encountered has now abandoned it, like the others. So I'm alone, and I can't do this on my own. This is too big for any one person. I can be the talent in the room, but the whole point of the dream is to not be the talent in the room, but through relationship, through interaction with my muse, to bring out her talent, to make her the talent in the room, because woman is the crown of creation, not man. It is woman who is the crown of creation. Woman is the only thing that wasn't made from dust. She was made from flesh and bone, the flesh and bone of man. She's the crown of creation. And my vision was to bring her offerings of art, like repeated daily offerings of art, and to elevate her and to lift her up. So, and through that, have her become the talent in the room. And just like the Holy Spirit is generated by the Holy Spirit is literally the love between the Father and the Son. It is, right? The whole being greater than the sum of the parts. Just like that, my vision was exactly that. To give what we need to see the power of romance, high adventure, brought back into the public sphere, so that people can at least be able to look at it and know that it exists and what it is. And then, right, that would generate ripples. So, right, so my vision was that, right, to celebrate and to exhibit and to manifest and to publicly offer the love that exists between a poet and a true poet and his true muse, and to have the force of that, the collision of that, emanate and generate a thing greater than the sum of the parts, and offer that for consumption purposes, for entertainment purposes, for edification purposes, for educational purposes, for spiritual purposes. That's the vision, that's the dream. And again, it's been taken from me, and I'm left with only myself and the skeleton of that. The skeleton of that dream is the poetry, the art, which is available on both Facebook and X. It's the artifacts. It's the artifacts of the vision. And I hope that's not all that I leave for the world. I hope that I can, in fact, complete this mission. But you know what? If I don't, I don't. It's not my vision. It's not my mission. It's God's. It's God's mission, and I sacrifice it like Abraham. Take it up to the mountain, lay it on the altar. Lord, you gave it. You can take it away. I don't care. All I want is to serve you and to complete the mission that I see now that it was you who gave it. I want to fulfill that mission, complete that mission, offer it to you, back to you. Lord, there's only so much that I can do to fulfill that. I'm doing everything I can. Here it is. It's back to you. The resistance isn't in me, Lord. The resistance is not in me. The resistance is in the one that I love. So either you sort it, and then give it to the world, because the world bloody well needs it. The world needs it.